throw that in as an additive, Tony, that the corner there.
So just in case anything.
Good morning, Richland County, 9:30 a.m., Tuesday, November 21st, Tuesday before Thanksgiving. The Richland County Board of Commissioners is now in session. I'm Commissioner Cliff Mears, joined by fellow commissioners Darrell Banks, Tony Vero, our clerk Stacy Kroll, County Administrator Andrew Keller. We have Hayden from Richland Source, second screen, I think behind Carl. And online we have Al Lawrence from News Journal. Long list of business to conduct today. And the very first one is welcoming our friends from the coroner's office, Dr. Burwell, Bob Ball, and Randy Ball, here to talk about what you have planned financially for next year. So would any of you like to give us an overview to begin with?
Randy did a nice summary of it, so I'm gonna let her take the horns.
Yeah, so we've made quite a bit of changes at the coroner's office. So in last year, towards the end of the year, we hired a new transporting service called Integrity Care Transport. Our previous transport service was averaging about 300 to 375 per case that they would do. So Integrity Care averages about 250 to 275 per case that they do. This has saved us a little bit of money, while also we are receiving a lot of positive feedback from the area agencies like the fire departments and the police departments with arrival time and just the professionalism. So we have kept them on this year and then plan to keep them for next year. This past summer, we had to obtain new sensors for the morgue. So in previous years, we've had temperature issues in our morgue, especially during the summer. It just gets a little too warm in there. And a lot of times we would notice it after hours when we're not there, that it would just the bodies would get a little warm in there. So we had to, with the help of Matt from IT and Christian from IT, we found these sensors out of Colorado, and they monitor the temperatures in the coolers along with in the room. And then every time a door is opened, all of our office is notified. So that helps with like when funeral homes come and pick them up, when our transport company comes and drops them off and whatnot. To go along with that, Matt from IT developed a program so where every time a decedent comes into our morgue, they are signed in on a computer. And then that generates into an Excel sheet and is accessed by all of our office. So we know exactly who's in the morgue, exactly what funeral home is going to pick them up and whatnot. We've also changed our answering service. Our previous answering service we'd had for years, but they got bought out by a company in Wisconsin. So, and it was averaging about maybe $200 to $300 a month per call. And with our office, you know, it's not always steady, but sometimes it's busy. So there wasn't just like a set rate that we could do. So we found a company out of Westerville. It's a set rate, no matter our call volume, during office hours and after office hours. And the nice thing is that it's voice to text. So every time they get a call, the call comes directly to my email. So we have it in writing too. So I'm able to print it out, put it in the file. So we say, like, what time did you get the call? We have it right there. So that's nice.
It goes voice to text automatically?
Yep. And then it goes into, they have both investigators and the office has like their own voicemail box. So they're able to access it. And then, so say like Bob were to get a call because he's on day calls this week, the call would go to the office, roll over to the answering service and get stored in a voicemail box. He would get the call. And then instead of, doing a restricted number, he just calls that number back and it comes up as the office. So he doesn't have to use his personal phone number. So far in autopsies this year, we've spent $139,300 on Montgomery County, $1,500 at Franklin County. That does not include our October invoice, which I have not received yet, our November invoice, which will happen probably.
Yes, you have for the 24 request, you're actually requesting 10,000 less
Yes.
than last year, what you requested.
Yes.
Not used to seeing that. That means less people are dying, so that is good.
Yes.
We project less people to pass away.
Scouting more of our autopsies than just sending them.
Yes.
No, I mean, what is ramped up on us so that you know is we're getting a lot more decomposition clients. That takes an autopsy just for identification purposes only. These people are laying 3 and 4 and 5 weeks. So we do that, use that as far as identification.
That is your expense budget, right? That's over 80% of what you request in expenses. So that's the first line item I always go to is
Yep.
what are they requesting in the non-contract services to Montgomery County?
We're using Mercyhurst. I'm sure you guys have seen in the media. And, but we're using more of the area of Mercyhurst University. The anthropology department, they have a what do you call her? She does dental records. She's a doctor.
Odontologist,
There you go. Thank you. She's noted. So we can
forensic odontologist.
forensic. So we can take our dental records and along with doing our x-rays or whatever we can do to get the dental records, we can send them over to her. And then what she uses these is in training that she will identify for us.
Mhm.
This is the college out of,
Pennsylvania.
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
So that's kind of helping us a little bit, save on some money, because a lot of that basically on the decomposition, we have to do identification more than anything. So this is helping us out a lot. And they don't charge, Mercyhurst does not charge us anything.
And with those decompositions comes our more cleanings that we have approximately 4 times a year. You'll notice on our budget that it's Ian Bice that she does the more cleanings. She's great. We've had her, this will be her 2nd year with us. She doesn't mind bodily fluids. She doesn't mind smells, and the people at the People's Hospital surely appreciate when there's not smells lingering throughout the building.
She came through Shambaugh. She used to do that cleanup.
oh yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So,
How often does she clean?
She cleans approximately, as
Once
of
a
right
quarter.
now, yeah, probably 4 times a year.
Yeah.
If we have back-to-back decomposition, sometimes it's a little bit more. But her pricing is always consistent, so we don't really have to worry about that. Yeah. And then you may have also noticed in our equipment line item, we are requesting to replace Tom's 2013 Jeep Compass.
Apparently with a Ferrari, $36,000.
Yeah,
Have you seen even used car prices? So
Compass, you said?
yeah, he has a 2013 Jeep Compass. We got it about 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
no Jeep went out.
Become a money pit.
Yeah, every time he takes it down to weeklies, it seems like I'm spending between $700 or $800 every time he goes down. So it just seems like a money pit at this point. So we're looking to see, I don't want a completely new vehicle for him, but at least a low mileage, like when we got Bob's Jeep last year,
It's been 2 years.
2 years ago.
Andrew was gracious with us.
Yeah. So, and he's had tie rods replaced, a new throttle, new converter and calipers. And it just seems like every time he goes, I get a very large bill. So,
What do you got in mind?
yes, actually, no. So far I've looked at Spitzer's, Donley, Graham, Bill Harris. It looks like we're probably gonna get maybe like a Ford Explorer or a Ford Escape. Something with 4-wheel drive for him because he does live down in the boondocks down in.
Ones are that much? Okay, take your word for that.
Yes, sir. Obviously I'll come with 3 different, like we did for Bob's Jeep. Again, we will have the privilege of having a doctor.
So you guys have spent $1,000 in your repair line item this year.
That's because I ran out of money in that line item and went to non-contractual.
Didn't transfer money into your repair.
No, because I was told just pay it out of non-contractual instead. We ran out of money in that line item.
So it'll be 11 years old when you buy one.
And we can't,
How many miles on it?
Yeah, over 100,000, I think.
in his, no, it's not that much. No, it's not that much. It's probably maybe 80,000, 90,000 ish. One thing we really liked about it was that it was 4-wheel drive. It was affordable at the moment. And
Compass was 4-wheel drive.
Okay, there they are.
Mine's a couple.
yeah, so Bob has a 2019 Jeep Compass. It's been working great. So we figured, have 2 compasses. We know the one, so we can get the other one. And like I said, the one just seems to be a money pit at this point. So, like I said, we have the privilege of having Dr. Tony Metcalf still as deputy coroner when Dr. Burwell is not available and does not have internet access. We have him on contract and a set fee when we do use him, which is why he is not in the personal summary or personal service schedule. But that's why it says just on contract. So one thing that our office is doing next year is one of the most difficult things that we have come in our office is infant deaths. In 2022 and 2023, we saw 18 juvenile deaths, and 4 of those deaths were under the age of 2. One of those deaths were undetermined, and 3 of the deaths that were positional asphyxia due to co-sleeping. And
What?
Positional asphyxia due to co-sleeping.
Co-sleeping, so.
Sleeping.
Sleeping. and
Sleeping with the
smothering.
baby. Mhm. So in our eyes, one baby death is too many deaths. So we have noticed that area agencies, just because of the emotional aspect of it, they jump instead of, going through their normal, what do I want to say? Not death
The
scene checklist,
process, the protocol.
the normal protocol that they do. So our office is teaming up with ODH along with Baby First Network and a pediatric forensic pathologist. And we are going to be doing a training to area fire departments and police departments on how to work with infant deaths. So we'll be doing that next year, and we are actually super excited about it.
There's a SUDI protocol that was established out of Atlanta at CDC. And what we found, and this has been there for a while, but what we found over the last few years when Dr. Gorniak was the coroner in Franklin County, if we can go in and get a reenactment of how the baby was laid, how the baby was positional. But the problem we run into is the squad comes in, it's a baby, and they're gone. I get it. But the only way that we can get documentation on that for that asphyxia is to do a reenactment. So SUDI, which is the CDC portion of this and this ODH, has established a protocol and a training that we can come in, work with the fire departments, work with the police departments, work with law enforcement, so that we can come up with some type of conclusion. Because a lot of these cases come back inconclusive. And then that's the parents are, I get it. I would not want to have that happen with me. We're just trying to resolve some of it to get them to understand when they come in, they don't have life, I have a heartbeat, they're gone. It doesn't take much. And to be able to have them just hold off, don't take the baby to the emergency room or the child. Because the state of Ohio requires us to do an autopsy on them under 2 years of age. 2 years and below, they require us to do that. We're just trying to bump it up so we can get closure on it, because we've had some cases this year that came back inconclusive. And it was saddening. It's very sad to do these cases. It's tough for everybody, but we're trying to come up with a conclusion. So this actually was her position on it to do. She's putting all this training together. So we're hoping this stabilizes this a little bit. I know the doctors are telling him, do not co-sleep. I know that. Even the health department, correct, Ann?
Mhm.
So we're just trying to make it where we can work it without it going sideways. We've had more of our share of infant deaths than we really want. One, Daryl, that we've talked about. We've worked that pretty hard, so.
Yes.
So that's why this training is very important for us.
So I have our fun stats. So last year we had 31 suicides in 2022. And in 2023, we so far have 20 confirmed suicides. We're down. We're happy about it. And we're hoping to not increase to get back to that 31. And we're hoping to be wrong, because this is our busy season that we're going into around the holidays and time change and all that. In 2023, we have 73 confirmed accidental cases. This includes motor vehicle accidents, falls, co-sleeping, and drug overdoses. We so far have 10 homicides, and one of them was actually a double homicide this year that we had that Tom had to work. In 20.
Ferndale?
Mhm. Yep. In 2021, we had 7 homicides, and in 2022, we had 7. So both of those years, we were only at 7. So we're already at 10. So. And then You'll notice, obviously, Tony brought up that I requested 10,000 less for autopsies next year because last year we ended the year with 534 cases and 140 autopsies. And so far this year, we're on case number 350 and autopsy number 90. And this time last year, those
Pretty big. drop.
numbers, oh yeah, those numbers were back in August. So we are very happy.
You're making up for it in the new vehicle.
Yes, absolutely. We want that new Ferrari.
So make that 46,000.
Could make it the other way.
26. Our suicides we're not happy with 20.
No.
I mean, our average is 12. So up until historically, so last year was almost 2.5 times as many as we've ever had.
See, the average is 12.
The average is 1 a month.
That's
Yeah.
exclusive of the last couple of years.
Yes.
Our last couple of years have been bad.
Mhm.
So the number of 20, way too many. That's all. We'll be double probably by the end of this year. And last year was 30.
But we're hoping not.
Right.
We're hoping to be
Well, of
wrong.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. Then a lot of them will leave us notes and some of us don't. Some of them, people, as far as I'm concerned, if they're going to do it, they do it. And doesn't matter if they just got out of the hospital and, when they make up their mind,
Some are spontaneous then and some are well thought out.
and it makes everyone feel bad because they think they should have seen it coming
And there's no like certain ages either. We've had as young as 15, as old as 81. So there's no like certain ages to target or anything like that. So,
One of the drug situations that we had, our numbers were spiking up. And I'm gonna give kudos to Paul Lentron. Paul Lentron has brought around the faith-based churches to help with this recovery, the addiction recovery. And I think, this is my opinion, I think a lot of that numbers coming down is because these churches are getting involved with these people. There's a church over here in Paradise. It's called Paradise. It's over on Illinois Avenue. They have an addiction program every Tuesday night. And in that program, it started out with 5 people. As of last Tuesday, there were 151 people that attend that. That's our CAC program and some of these other programs. And something's working somewhere because the numbers are down.
mhm.
So I just wanted to give that kudos out to let you know, there's faith-based organizations that are working, and they're working heavily.
Mhm.
Family Life Counseling's working, the Ministry of Recovery, Starfish is working. So whatever's going on, it's working. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. Anything that works in my book. helps.
Mhm.
I'll have a very difficult job.
Mhm.
Hats off to you for doing what you do as well as you do. I always learn so much at these budget hearings when you talk about what you do and the condition of the county in this respect. And I'm always impressed with how you come through with process improvements. You're always looking for better ways and more cost-effective ways to do things like what you said, what Matt did for you in IT and putting together that ledger basically
Mhm.
for you and the phone service and the transport service and the pediatric forensic pathologist. You're always looking for better ways to improve the service that you provide to Richland County.
Mhm.
So I'm delighted to hear all those things. You're always keeping your eyes open, better ways to do a very difficult job that I certainly couldn't.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Doc, I had one comment I wanted to compliment you on. And we threw out a number for the pay raises, which may change, but we threw that out. You stayed underneath it. And you did is you give the guy making the most money a little less money so that you could afford to give the people making the less money more money. And I think there's a lot of people in the county that ought to learn from that.
Thanks, dear.
Very cost-effective organization, continuously becomes.
Trying.
You're succeeding at it. Very good at doing that.
I'm not giving this but she does a phenomenal job watching our expenses. We don't have time.
I like to
Number
pride
one, we don't
myself
have
in be
time.
calling it tightwad sometimes.
That's okay.
Well, you have to because the technology changes, everything changes. Forensic science changes, unfortunately, even though in most people's eyes it doesn't. But it does, and I mean, new cases come out. COVID was just a killer because we didn't know how to handle COVID. We could have, I mean, we
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what happened was we had him, he was in the private sector, as far as the medical director and on, that was able to educate us because that could have been once the COVID cases started coming in, that would have been one that we could have spent thousands of dollars on autopsy. And he did his research and we did our research and the Ohio Coroner Association got in and we all fought it. I don't think we spent a dime on COVID cases, did we?
No.
No. They just said, we're gonna throw them out as natural death cases and we'll sign them out at that, but we're not doing autopsy. So we couldn't get anybody friendly.
Money you save will quickly be gobbled up by the Board of Elections when they come up.
That's scary when they're sitting behind me. But so anyways, that's kind of where we're at, but
Scarier when you guys are standing behind
Right.
them.
we appreciate what you guys do for us. We really do.
Al might have some.
And we haven't approved the card just yet, so don't say thank you yet.
Well, Hayden, since you're here, do you have any questions for our friends at the coroner's office?
You touched everything very well. I'm not as houndful as Carl, so.
I've known him for a long time, Hayden, so.
Al?
Just for the record, I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Okay, that's Bob, Randy, Doctor, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys,
Guys,
We have 8 minutes before we're going to meet with
yeah, but
and
the Board of Elections. Let's
Okay.
go through our regular business act. I have a motion to certify the record of proceedings for November.
move.
Second.
Mears,
Yes,
Mr. Banks.
Yes,
Commissioner Vero.
Yes,
I have a motion to approve requisitions.
we'll move.
second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes,
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Vero.
Yes,
I have a motion to approve Children's Services 2024 meeting expenses.
so moved.
second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Vero.
Yes,
Next order of business, I want to go into a little bit of history here. Being asked to approve a resolution to agree and recognize the Village of Plymouth's acceptance and ownership of Baseline Road Bridge. I got involved in this about a year ago now, the request of State Representative Marilyn John. We had the Baseline Road Bridge, which was owned by Ashland Railway, closed due to safety concerns. And it was a problem. It was inconvenient and it was particularly problematic because it was right next to the police station, which required some rerouting of emergency vehicles. So when she asked me to get involved, I met with Mayor Fry up in Plymouth, met with Jim Jordan. And over the course of the year in discussing this, certainly ODOT was involved. What we're going to look at is a $1.8 million grant, which will pay 100% of the expenses of repairing that bridge from the Ohio Department of Transportation. And I think it's an excellent representative of the partnership we were able to develop between the bridge, ODOT, and the county. So with that little bit of history, I have motion to approve this.
well, before I make that motion, I want to say good job to you, Cliff. I know you put a lot of effort into that. And thank you to Congressman Jordan. And I guess I'll put in a begrudging thank you to State Representative John. I want her to know that we're complimenting her, so.
second, unless you take off the begrudging.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Vero.
Yes,
Before we approve the transit board appointments and the chairman of the board, I'd like to refer this to Commissioner Vero to kind of give us a bit of summary of the seven board members that are up on our sheet.
okay. A lot of moving parts. Been working with Gene Taddy on this, so I'm gonna make it all in one motion, Stacy. So I'm gonna make a motion that we renew the terms of Donna Height and Crystal Weiss Davis, which would be effective first of the year 2024. Also going to make a motion that we appoint Todd Blankenship to replace the seat of Clint Knight, whose term is up at the end of the year. So that would be effective January 1, 2024. Unfortunately, due to residency requirements, Nicole Williams has to step down, so I'd include in that motion, we accept her resignation and then appoint Trey Turner to replace the remainder of Nicole's term, which ends December 31st of 2024. And also, I would like to appoint Mr. Scott Hyman to take over as chair for Clint effective January 1 of 2024. Please don't ask me to say that.
Did you have that all written down?
Yeah, I'll see you on the email.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve ending highlight video for $7,500 to DRM.
Very happy to make this motion. We have a big group coming. It'll be the first video. We've been talking about it, unveiling as part of the branding. Put some thought in this. So this will be like a little county highlight video that'll just introduce some of the branding. Our next video will be more insular to us. We're gonna do a state of the county video. We're hoping February. And we'll launch the bigger branding video in partnership with the city of Mansfield, Destination Mansfield and the Chamber. That is in work. Lee's working on that. That'll come out, we think, April or May. Lee is trying to steal it and unveil it at his annual dinner. And I said, no chance, pal. We came up with the idea. So we're fighting over who will unveil that as well. But that's all. This is the first of three. And I'll make the motion that we approve that invoice for $7,500 to DRM out of contingency.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
A very enthusiastic yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes, and for those who've seen the draft, it's a very cool video. I think people will like it.
Hats off to Tony for all the time he spent on this. I think this is gonna be a big deal when it's unveiled.
Put it on our social media, we'll press release it. We hope to get some big publicity out of that for the branding.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve a hiring of a seasonal worker for building maintenance at a rate of pay of $15 an hour, December 18th through January 16th?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve an overweight, over dimension permit for Holcher Services. There'll be permits for 2 trucks going basically from Wallbridge, which is near Toledo, to 739 Oak Street and back.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Mears, Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
But right now, before we get into the Board of Elections business, to authorize terminating a Dayspring employee who worked 3 shifts and never came back.
Move that, Daryl?
I did.
Okay. Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
Pretty good timing on this. We're a minute early. You all want to spend that minute moving up really slowly to the front center of the auditorium here.
Left, right?
One way to speak.
You all had a busy year and you got a busier year coming up next, right?
Do a big coin flip yesterday, huh?
Right, right.
Yeah, it was really something I did think about when I was watching the election results for the mayor of Plymouth. I was just referencing, saw that it was 105 against, 103 for her. I didn't realize that was a split.
That's just our county.
Yeah,
Half of that's Plymouth or Huron and
Huron County, yeah.
the other half of Richland. So you combine that and she actually won.
Right.
Yes.
She lost Richland County, but won Huron County. But combined, she retains her seat.
Yep.
Yep.
That's interesting.
We've got a lot of overlaps.
You do.
Have a gold coin. Ashland, they use gold coin.
We can borrow a gold coin.
Ashland's good.
Specific coin for that, or is it just a?
Streets are paved with gold in Ashland.
Out of his election.
Take a chunk out of the street and flip it, right?
Story didn't go into that level of detail, but it's really a gold coin, a dollar coin with the gold hue to it.
Saw the mayor of Ashland was kicking off his Christmas decorations yesterday on social media.
Wrong. Not even Thanksgiving.
So I told the mayor-elect of Mansfield, how's she gonna clap back? Because we have to beat Ashland. So I told her some things to catch up to.
Think about, huh?
The winner got the gold coin.
Oh,
So I
yeah?
have nothing to show you.
Well, you came with
I thought that was out of your own collection.
He has a pocket of tie-breaking gold coins.
There might be more where that one came.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, we're not quite so flashy here in Richland County.
No.
But it is 10 o'clock and time for Jane Zimmerman and Matt Finfigeld to unveil the story of 2024. Let's you start by recapping what you have in mind for us.
All right, so I think you guys all got the budget that we had emailed up. Obviously, it is an increase over 2023.
17% for.
Oh, I knew you'd have the exact.
I do have these.
17.3.
I gave you.
Love it. I like that.
We'll get to the salary here coming up.
I'm sure. So a couple of the line items that have increased, obviously, our ballot printing supplies. We're expecting more absentee, sending more ballots out to the polls as well. We always send paper ballots as a backup in case, the equipment fails. And when we're projecting a higher turnout, we'll send more ballots out as well to make sure to accommodate for that. Same thing with Sun Graphics. Again, more absentee, provisional cost involved with the envelopes there. The Mansfield Postmaster, we increased that a little bit. We're expecting more mailings. This year we did a mailing for NCOA in June, was it? And that mailing was, we spent $12,000 to get that out. And that's printing it, stuffing it, all that with Sun Graphics.
Let's hope they hold their prices because, Sun Graphics has a new owner.
Yes,
Right.
I see that. But I mean, that's just one example of things that do come up that we can't always project, how much it's going to be, how many it's going to be. And then moving on to Triad, they did increase their amount by $1,200, their yearly amount for our VR annual fee. It's well deserved. Triad's the best vendor we've ever dealt with. They're very accommodating. They're always ahead of things. Any new, when House Bill 458 come out or any changes, they already have it done. And that's why they have 70 plus counties in the state of Ohio, because of their customer service. US Bank, we increased for the copier fee, and Runbeck for the ballot printing fees. Obviously, we're going to have more costs with bigger turnout. The Verizon monthly Wi-Fi, that was never in the budget. And we did take out 10X online poll worker training. That was in 2020. We had that. It was continued to be used a little bit in 21 and 22, but we didn't renew that contract with 10X for the online poll worker training from last year.
That worked pretty well. Online poll worker training.
It served its purpose, I think, in COVID. But I'm more of the hands-on training. I like to have them there. For your real seasoned ones, it probably work, but they only do this 2 days a year. So, and the laws are always changing, and we always throw a lot of information at them for
Live streaming, so it's not something you can access at any time. Is that right?
No, you could, you
Can exit any.
we had it to where you could access it at any time. But it just, after COVID, it really, the numbers really went down. I mean, I think our poll workers like to attend in live, in-person training, and get that hands-on experience versus, sitting at a computer. Plus, some of the elderly aren't real familiar with navigating their way,
Watch it.
in a computer.
It's no way to talk about Daryl.
So I think it had its purpose, but I don't think it's needed, at this time.
It's just double work, honestly.
And then Triad at the bottom, 5,000 for streaming the Dropbox and, setting up our remote ballot. So that was, something new with we have to stream our Dropbox for 30 days. So whenever you're bored, during an election, if you want to, watch when we come to work or, watch how late we're staying, you're more than welcome to. For your viewing pleasure, that's on there for all 30 days of early vote.
No fake voting in Richland.
Done. So that costs $1,200 each election to have Triad set that up, and work with our IT to get that streaming live. And then Triad also now sets up our, remote ballot access as well. So that's about 5,000 total. We increased, travel amount some. Obviously mileage just went up. Also something new that we just started doing, we started it in August as a small trial run. This election, we went full go with it. Our rovers have always been out on the day before election, helping with setup, making sure everything's set up. Now what we've done is our rovers, we pair them up, and then we also use our seasonal staff that helps with our logic and accuracy testing. And we pair them up bipartisan. This time we had teams of 4. And they went out and they actually set up all the machines and the EPs. Couple reasons. Number one, for security purposes and efficiency. They know what they're doing. They're fast at it. They do it. They just did it for testing. We test the machines, we set them all up, we take them all down. So they're getting a lot of experience, with setting them up versus a poll worker that doesn't get that experience. And the poll workers have really liked it because they don't have to attend on Monday if they don't want to now. Plus that's, for some people, lifting those machines is hard. So if we can ease some of that to hopefully keep the poll workers, they were all very excited about us doing that. And that came from someone at Crawford County. He moved here in May and was a poll worker for us. And I seen him about 2 weeks after the election. And I said, what's the biggest difference? Give me just the biggest thing you think's a difference. And he's the one that said, well, Crawford County, when they deliver, they set them up. He goes, we showed up on Tuesday morning. And, the more we kept thinking about it, we're like, it's not a bad idea as long as we can have the right staff to do that. Which, like I said, I have the utmost confidence in our rovers and our seasonal staff that helps on the testing. So, that's part of the reason we did increase the mileage. Obviously with the rate, it's went up quite a bit in the last couple of years. That's the other reason. But if, hey, any of the poll workers that worked this election, ask them, how'd you like that? And I have to go in on Monday and the board employees taking care of the setup. Another nice thing is when we used to do the setup, we used to try to tell them, hey, call us. And, because we can't have everyone setting up at 4:00. Well, that's the way it always seemed to work out. So 4:00, we had 18 polling places setting up and everyone's out, because we always wanted to have either a rover or a staff member there at setup to make sure everything's done properly. So by us doing it, we're controlling the times. So they're not all at 4:00. This November we was done at right around 5:00 was set up. Where before used to go till 7:30 that night. So there's a lot of advantages, I think. And like I said, I think the poll workers really appreciate it. And it seemed to work well. Then going into the salaries. We did ask for, a decent amount for Daniel O'Brien. A lot of Daniel is an IT guy too, our IT guy. So Daniel has a lot of responsibility on him. He helps do our ballot layout. I mean, I assist with him, but it's Daniel. he's the brains behind that. He does our tabulation on election night. He's our lead guy that heads that up. So he has a lot of pressure on him. A lot of counties will pay to have their ballot laid out. So whoever their vendor is, they pay for them to come in and lay out their ballot. We don't do that. Daniel does that.
So have you thought, because it sounds like he's more than an election specialist one. Have you thought about, because you guys are doing our wage scales, right? Would you-
He
About-
is more than an election specialist one. Oh, we had him at a 4,
I thought so too.
but yes, he is definitely.
I don't know if, I don't, that's right, you're not doing scales yet, but,
He is definitely more than.
have you thought about changing his position? Because it seems like he's more than election specialist. And that wouldn't necessarily be, I mean, that would be a promotion, right?
Right.
Which we're not opposed to. I'm just saying it sounds like he's,
No, he definitely is. I mean, he does a lot. He should be in IT.
Is it 1 or 2 higher? Which one's higher? Because salaries are pretty close.
It was higher.
Yeah, 2's higher.
Normally, that's why Daniel, he was a 4. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2023, the 2, which is higher grade, was a lesser salary.
well, if,
Daniel's
If you-
more than a
Yeah,
1.
he's more
He
than
should have been a 4 on there. I think is what we had him at.
Yeah.
But and just for an example, Huron County uses their vendor to do their ballot layout. Well, there was a change that we seen. They didn't have a middle initial in, I think,
Mhm.
and we called and
Right.
said, hey, you missed a middle initial. It was gonna be $1,700 to add that middle initial because the vendor had already left. So they would have to call that vendor back. So what we did was call the candidate and say, hey, do you mind if your middle initials, and he was fine with it.
$1,700.
But here again, that's just one example where we don't have that. If we make a mistake, Daniel goes back here and he would remove that middle initial. So I mean, he's very, very valuable to us. And quite frankly, I'm a little nervous that we might lose him to a vendor if we don't.
no, he does a really good job. He's smart.
And
I'm just saying, it doesn't, to me, it's not as much of a pay increase as it is a promotion. So,
Right, and that's something that Jane and I
Yeah.
will talk about and,
That's a good point.
Cause I agree. I mean,
Mhm.
he should have something with IT in his title, cause he is
Sounds like it.
our IT person. For Carrie and John, it's been a tough couple of years for our employees. I'm sure Andrew will tell you the same as far as with elections and the hours, these August elections, I mean, vacations have been at a premium, if any,
Right.
the hours that they put in and their dedication, to do whatever's needed. I can't tell you how much we appreciate what all of them do
Right.
for us.
And I mean, it's been 2 solid years of back-to-back elections. And it's not gonna change going into next year.
Except hopefully not in August. Who knows? We'll see.
yeah, let's hope not.
I got a question about Paige Masters. She's left, right?
Correct.
Okay. But you have a 10% increase for that position.
Yes.
That for recruitment purposes, you're gonna salary to be,
I would like to see that position start at 16 for the new hire.
I don't think that's unreasonable. We asked board, I mean, it's only 34,000 a year.
Right. We would be happy to start at 16. When we submitted this, that was with Paige still employed here.
so that's a vacancy right now.
It is
And you're looking,
right now. I'm
Looking to-
hoping to fill that in the next 2 weeks. Yes. Someone in mind.
Infigel right now means they have someone in mind.
We do have someone in mind. We have a good seasonal person that's worked with us for the last 6 months. Does a great job out there. So I think she would fit in very nicely. She gets along with the staff, treats people right.
I gotta ask you a question. On your personal service schedule, you've got a total of 721,000 and change and a grand total of 809,000. I tried playing with some numbers. What are those numbers? What does it include? I tried grouping.
So the 721 is a 561,000 total wages plus the poll worker total of 160,000. That equals the 721. And then the difference is the Medicare, OPERS and workers' comp in between 721 and 809.
Okay,
The back this year, you got 100,000. Was that because of the August?
It's also an odd year, so we're able to charge back for more than just ballots and advertising. To just the amount of issues that were on the ballot
So you can charge back more in odd years than
and
even.
even, right? So, and we did contract out with a firm called Pink Consulting. And that is what they do. They work on counties' chargebacks. And they probably found, I'm trying to put a dollar amount on a lot more items that we weren't charging the subdivisions back for that we should have been.
Yeah, I think what 120,000 that was
Yeah.
charged back roughly.
Yeah, so it's worked out very well with that. Plus their fee is built into the chargeback. So pays for itself pretty much. A lot of counties in Ohio that are now contracting out with this consulting firm.
I have another question on that same sheet, which is Fund 310, General Fund.
Okay.
Ending unencumbered balance in 2021, but none listed for 2022 or 2023. And I asked Stacy yesterday what that current carryover is. It's 144,268 and 50 cents. Why is that no longer listed?
Can't answer that. I've never,
Yeah.
I've probably listed it in 21. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I will start,
It's higher now than it was in 21.
That's all I did it in 21.
probably.
Or you didn't carry, you didn't copy.
You just didn't copy the formulas over. I looked in the unit. They're all
I don't have any more questions.
got nothing. Good job, Jane.
I would only say that, since it was brought up, that I will not hold Tony with his inexperience. Just quote Ronald Reagan.
Gonna make a factor of it.
The short 360 stuff.
They know.
Guys.
Thank you.
Aiden, any questions? Of course. That's like the color of Richland Source, right? The purple, is that provided?
That on purpose.
So that's the identifier, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al, do you have any questions for our folks at the Board of Election?
No, thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys are the core of democracy
Okay, we'll go on the record.
It is 10:30. The Board of Commissioners is back in session. We're to discuss Rachel Troyer's wellness incentive requirements from Central Services. With that, it's your show.
Thank you very much. So when we were presented with the change that SEPCO made with their wellness program, they decided to go with a program through Anthem, which is more about accountability to see your physician, to get your blood work done, and then some other things for an employee that's on the insurance. They can earn up to $200 by participating in what they call their wellness or their rewards 200. We looked at this and very simplified version. The $200 that the employee could possibly earn would be digital cards. So it would be like to Amazon, Target, whatever. And they could earn that. Money is coming from SEPCO. So at the end of the year, it's still taxable. The employee will receive a 1099 that they will have to file with their taxes the following year. So when we looked at that, we were kind of like, we don't know. But I did ask, can we wait and see what we are required to complete by our grant or for the grant money that we receive. We will receive an estimated $17,000 from SEPCO for 2024. And there are always things I have to complete as part of the program. And I just received that. And our requirements are we have to complete 2 on-site education sessions, 1 community lifestyle program, which can be like the LARC program, a Weight Watchers program, something like that. We just have to promote it. 1 community event, and then 1 online challenge, which is an Anthem challenge. So there are things that we are required to do to be able to receive that grant money. And so Stacy and I met and we talked about what wellness used to be like versus what we are being handed by SEPCO. And how can we make this easy, but yet still incorporate the things that we are required to do. So we came together and we looked at a bunch of different packages. And this is what I presented to commissioners in the email was the 2023-2024 wellness program. We took into consideration what SEPCO is offering, and we put in that an activity. We've only got 4 activities, but some things you have to do like 2 of. So we did put in the blood draw, which is on the Anthem sheet. We are asking for an annual physical wellness, but it can be the physical that Anthem has on theirs, but also it can be, hearing exam, it could be eye exam, dental, stuff like that, because we still want people to participate in getting their annual exams, to be active in the insurance so that they have all the information that they can get. Then we moved on to the county and community activities. We did incorporate items that's on this rewards 200 in this. So if somebody decides to do a lifestyle management program, that's also part of the rewards 200 program. We also have Anthem's team challenge, which is also, of course, in that rewards 200. But then we also give them other things. Like right now, the OSU extension, they're doing their challenge. Got a lot of people participating in that because they know that is ways that has in the past been ways to complete the wellness program is through those activities.
And they usually offer a spring program.
Absolutely, they do.
For sure.
Some of the stuff looks like, oh, well, it'd be difficult, but then others, the OSU extension, it's an email. You read it, you participate, you can send emails back. Right now, they're doing a bingo. So a lot of employees are sending their bingo into OSU extension. again, we want them to engage in their wellness. And then the last thing is the educational activities. Of course, that is on the list for the requirements for the grant. I have to do on-site. But that can also include webinars. We've used ComPsych in the past. We've also recorded some of our on-site so that those employees that can't come to a lunch and learn, that they can watch it at a later date. Again, we incorporated the Anthem, read 5 articles or watch 5 videos. They're very short videos. They're very short articles. It makes you, I don't know, you could probably do it in 2 lunches at the most. You don't have to sit and do the whole thing right then and there. It will keep track of everything. So we did try to incorporate that. Now, to kind of go back to this rewards 200 that we had talked about at the original meeting. Ashland County, and that was what I presented to the commissioners, they had said, okay, we are going to require our employees, if they want to be on low deductible, because Ashland County is high and low deductible, they have to complete these steps, which is highlighted in here and says required.
This is Ashland County.
So this is Ashland County. Yes, what you've got, that's what they have. So I called Ashland County and I said, how many employees do you have on the insurance? 234 employees they have on the insurance. And they do offer a high-low deductible like we do. So their demographics a little bit different than ours, but she did tell me, she's like, I'm very worried because I don't think that I'm going to get our employees to participate in these required, these requirements that for the grant. And it's a lot of work. You put a lot of work into this. And when nobody shows up, it's very frustrating because you're really defeated because that is your job to do that. Then I called Geauga, who's the largest county in SEPCO. And they did the exact same thing, the Ashland, I'm going to require these things. And I'm like, first of all, how many employees do you have on the insurance? They have a little over 500. And I said, are you offering a high and low deductible? What are you doing? And she said, no, they do a premium differential. So if an employee is on the wellness program, then they pay less out of pocket for their premium than those people that are on the high deductible. And she said, and it's quite a bit, but I didn't ask her how much that was. So everybody is across the board where, what they're doing. A lot of people are very frustrated because, again, we've got requirements and this does not fulfill those requirements of what we have to do. So a good portion, and we're still getting emails in, good portion of counties are actually making their own wellness program again. So they're on board where what I'm looking at is that we still have these requirements. We still want our employees to be engaged in wellness, not just going to your doctor and getting these few things done to earn money. And everybody's kind of going back to original wellness plans that they've had in the past before they joined SEPCO. And that's where we were at. And that's why I'm presenting this to you.
Thank you for putting this together. We put some time and effort into it. Just was looking at it. We got it yesterday. I don't believe, if my memory serves me correctly, this is what we had decided on.
It was not. That's correct. And when we were in the previous meeting, there was, am I correct in saying that there was not, they did not make any motion to accept
I wasn't even part of your previous discussion on what wellness was, so I don't know.
I thought we had agreed because we were unsure to keep it pretty simple. And we also didn't think it was fair for employees because our wellness plan starts August 15th. So we're already a third of the way through the year this year, right?
And I can tell you from talking to employees, knowing what employees do, our employees have already started on a wellness program because they still didn't understand.
Committed these educational activities?
Not the educational, because the educational, that usually comes at the beginning of the year when we,
Okay, like, I'm not, I mean, I'm just,
yes.
The county community activities,
yeah,
the health fair counted, the axe throwing counted.
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I'm just, and this is.
But the educational haven't.
I thought we were, and then I was trying to match up. Where do you enter the preventative diagnosis code on this form? I was a little confused how that worked.
Okay, so all you have to, does it actually say code? I was trying to remove.
Those codes are more for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, down here. This is what you would take to the doctor when you get your physical. Because I've already talked to Wendy about this, their plan. When you go to a doctor and you schedule it, you tell them, I need a wellness physical. And they're supposed to, okay. So then when you see the doctor, you're supposed to again say, this is a wellness physical. You're not supposed to be charged, but it depends on how he codes it of what or how it goes through to Anthem. If he does not use one of these codes, and again, I can change this, but if he does not use one of those codes, it's not going to ding Anthems. So you could go thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to, but if that doctor does not code it properly, you are not going to get $25 because the annual wellness
is just
If an employee does these educational activities, the way we describe it, which is why we didn't want to do that. And again, this is fantastic. So I'm just asking questions from an employee perspective. I think one of our concerns is making it a required activity, if I recall, was you get gift cards, that's a taxable benefit. And we wanted to stay out of the, hey, let's truly make that a voluntary matter for employees, because we know we certainly don't want to wait on 1099s. It gets tricky, and I agreed with it, which is why I wasn't a huge fan of the Sebco decision to go to wellness to begin with. But if I recall, we intentionally wanted to stay away from making that a requirement for that reason, right?
Are you talking about just the educational activity?
Right. My understanding is if you do some of these educational activities, you can earn gift cards under the wellness incentive.
Under the wellness, yes, but under ours, we are still required to have educational activities.
Right, but I'm talking, right, but I'm saying, I thought we as the employer have to put on those fairs, right?
Yes,
educational.
Activities, right, but I'm saying you start doing those things, are these gonna necessitate 1099s?
What I'm doing, no. If the employees participate in this and they accept those gift cards, then yes, Sebco will send them 1099s.
Making some of those required activities though.
They don't have to choose. They don't have to choose that.
They could do our educational things at our comp site.
And they can still do these things for Anthem and not get the gift cards. I mean, if they want to, I don't know, learn about back pain, I'm assuming that's one of the things. They can read the 5 articles or they can watch the 5 videos and not claim that $25. You do not have to.
It's ultimately the board's decision also.
Yes.
My thought was, even though we're 5 months in, my thoughts were when I met with Rachel on this is that it also shouldn't just be a do nothing and get the low deductible. The low deductible costs the employer more money.
Right, it does. But I think we had sort of, as a board, came to a philosophy where we were gonna make it a little easier so we could understand the Anthem plan. And this is it's just a 180 from what we discussed. That's all. So I'm just trying to understand how we came to that
So
decision.
since I wasn't part of that,
We were just gonna do the blood draw, the physical, what else, Andrew, was it?
We were going to follow.
Right. I'm curious how we came to that decision.
And this wasn't even going to be required.
And this wasn't even gonna be required.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand, that's all. That's why it's like, whoa, this is way different than the guidance the direction I thought we were going. So please,
Yes.
just trying to.
No, and that's
The health
That's fine.
assessment through HealthWorks.
that was through HealthWorks.
That is.
I'm sorry, the old one, but now the
Anthem has one.
other one is Antheus.
Okay.
Everything that employees do for their program, they would have to log into the Sydney app or anthem.com and complete that. But again, if they don't want to do the health assessment, They don't have to unless we require that they do a health assessment. That's completely up to them. If we decide that we want to go with this and let the employees, I still have to do my requirements. I still have to complete these requirements. But I'll probably be doing it and having, I'll have like 2 people show up. And that will be it. So a lot of work for nothing.
Thing that we could. We will require this.
Yes, if you like this, and this is doable, we have employees that start April 1st that have completed the wellness program, the previous wellness program. They've completed that because our cutoff is if you're hired April 16th and on, then you are automatically low deductible for the following year. So everything that we do, it's very, very doable because I know that people do it.
Okay.
So we are looking at.
They could do this and get the low deduct.
This would be earning the low deductible. This would be earning gift cards.
Which is required of the low deductible, which is why we didn't want to do that. I'm not,
To get the low deductible, do they have to do that?
No,
you have to do some of those activities there, which is why we wanted to stay away from the gift cards to begin with.
Well,
But again, you can do activities, but you don't have to accept the gift cards. Because we've always asked them to do blood work.
the annual physical and blood draw gives you a gift card.
Mhm.
Right. And we were like, look, we knew we were gonna have to bite the bullet there.
Those 2 things give you a
Um,
gift card.
If you want it.
So what do you want?
I didn't know we were changing it. I just got this yesterday and we're smack dab in the middle of budget season. And as you guys know, I like to really look at our documents and compare. I don't mean to have them in public session. I would ask these questions a lot sooner.
And we've just, like I said, we just received this because I was asking for this
From
the moment, from Subco. This is Subco's document. This is my requirements. I was asking from the moment they presented this and I said, but what are our requirements? We just received this. And that's when I presented it to Stacy and I said, okay, what are we going to do?
so I can be clear. This is required.
Well,
No, that's what they're presenting to us to determine if we want.
Determine if we want to do this, but if we do that.
Yep.
Employee can do that. And doesn't have to do this.
you don't have to accept the gift card from doing any of those things on the Anthem 200. You do that physical and the blood draw is on the Anthem 200
But
and we're gonna require that. And I think you should require that for a wellness program.
Yeah.
Those 2 things can bring big attention. If you don't want to require any.
Yeah, and I think that's why we said we were willing to go with that for the first year. Knowing it would be easier this year, but we also thought an incentive was maybe some people who weren't, because ultimately we want our people to be healthy and catch things too. We thought it might bring people also, even if it'd be a little more costly, into the wellness plan to get a better idea of how that first year shakes out. Because again, we're already a third of the year through the wellness calendar and we have not presented our employees. Now, look, these are easily obtainable, admittedly, but I don't think it's fair from an employer perspective when you're a third of the way through the wellness calendar to say, hey, here's this big change. That's why I thought we had agreed to keep it simple. And again, I'm sorry for asking it now. 15 minutes isn't a lot of time.
Apologize. I did not know you guys agreed to anything.
Yeah,
What did you agree to?
have to go back and listen. I think it was just this.
Yeah, there was no actual motion to accept this.
Right.
So that's why I needed clarification, is this all we're going to accept for 2024?
Andrew, what do you think?
Take time out and revisit it within a month's time.
I just think we need to really be fair to our employees. We are 4 months through and this is a brand new wellness change.
And I agree, we definitely need to be fair to our employees. And on the other hand, I know that employees are already working on what they previously did for the wellness program. So I have all these employees, they're saying, hey, will this count this? And I keep saying, I need to get an answer from the commissioners before I let you know exactly what we're going to do. Because I need clarification as well, because again, I need to know what I'm doing and what we're truly rolling out, because none of our employees, even though Wendy presented this in the meeting, none of our employees understand this. It's going to be, and they're not going to understand it until January 1st, when all of a sudden all these emails start rolling out of, hey, remember, you can sign on to your Sydney app and you can do this and you can do that. That's when they're going to understand this, because right now, nobody gets this.
I agree, we should recess on this and come back, but I'm not sure we want to wait a month. And I know we're busy.
No more than a month, but a couple weeks.
We'll have to look at the calendar and
So work that out.
get it back on.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Can I ask a question? It's in black and white, but I'm gonna ask you.
No, it's okay.
2 activities are required under annual physical wellness exam, and very specific vaccines. Pneumococcal does not count, RSV does not count, only those listed here count, correct?
We have, so when we had our own wellness program outside of SEPCO, that was our determination. I mean, if you receive a RSV vaccine, absolutely, it
We
should
can
count.
put others.
We can put others.
Yeah, we can put
It's-
other vaccines.
Because it's so heavily marketed, right?
This is good work. I just want to make sure for our employees, Stacy, you did an excellent job. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And I would, even though I understand what you're saying too, Stacy, but I do think if we're ever going to lean to a year where we were a little light on the objectives, because we may not even know if we like the Anthem plan, which is why the whole SEPCO, hey, we're changing your wellness effective first of the year, even though wellness starts August 15th, was, I felt, not equitable for our people. And I've at least scheduled my physical in advance too, but I've held off on doing some of those activities because of our prior discussions as well. So,
Yes.
I think it could go both ways.
Absolutely, it could.
Right.
Yes. Yes, and I completely agree. Some people, they have held off, people who understand this program more than what others. I can tell you, I've received a lot of emails and calls about people are already chomping at the bit wanting to complete their wellness program, and they're already on their way. And I've already gotten a couple of people that said, hey, when can we log in and when can we put everything, because I've already completed it, because they're still looking at and thinking about what this program was like.
And there's nothing to log in
Right.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gone.
And that can be for future, because again, we do have
How are they doing videos if there's no videos to do?
They're on
it
Anthem's
on
website.
Anthem's website.
They're just going to Anthem and watching Anthem
Yes.
videos?
Yep, we could go on HealthWorks and watch videos if we
Right.
wanted to in the past too, but yeah, they're
Yes.
just on Anthem's website.
Yes, but that is an option, and I know that right now 11 counties have contracted with HealthWorks to help them with their wellness program. I actually contacted HealthWorks about, can we at least do on-site blood work, and what would that cost be? Very, very minimal cost. It would be mileage, and that's it. So we still would like to contract with HealthWorks so we can do the on-site. And so that can be, we can talk about that at a later date as well.
Cool.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You, Rachel?
You're welcome.
This did not get on there. Okay.
Okay, we will next turn the show over to Adam Gold, County Engineer. And for the record, Gene McClintock, Soil and Water Board of Supervisors, has snuck in on the back row to proceedings a little bit early for your budget, but stay tuned.
Okay.
Good.
No problem.
With that, Adam, I'll turn it over to you. One comment. Engineer is always like consistency. I see that you're one of 2 departments that has the most recent data in the left column. Not on the right column.
I thought I changed that this year. It was on the right and I thought I got a complaint that it was on the right, so I changed it to the left and I can. Where do you want?
Everybody else has it on the right,
On the right? Okay, I will make that change for next year.
but that's just me.
So I don't know which order you wanna,
Yeah, budget first.
okay, any particular order? We can go through auto license and gas tax.
I don't know if you had a,
Why don't you start with tax map?
Uh,
Sure.
sure.
And just for, what does the one-time adjustment reflect? And I know I've asked that in the past, but you know, I'm not the brightest person in the world, so. What does the one-time adjustment mean again?
It's, that was new this year. Because we are entering into a contract year.
sorry, where is that? Where's the?
If you look, Cliff, on the personal service schedule of tax map and all the, a lot of other budgets have them too. You'll see a one-time
okay.
adjustment.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, so that's new.
Okay, so I'm not as crazy.
No, you're not crazy. So that was just,
You'll notice on the personal service schedule that the most recent are on the right,
Right,
as opposed to
right.
on
regular
the budget.
budget where it's on the left.
Maybe I switched them and switched them back. I don't remember. Yeah, so that was basically all these are subject to some change because we are entering into a contract year with our union. And in the past, we have typically been very similar in their benefits. So that's why that's there.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly? As a one-time adjustment.
That's a lump sum payment.
Yeah, just basically a lump sum
So
payment.
anyone can get it or?
I guess if you want to talk. Like to do that in executive session just because we are entering into a contract year.
Okay, I mean, I just saw it in the budget. I'm going, what time adjustment?
Something is needed. Time payment, lump sum payment
I'll call you offline.
to employees.
Okay. I didn't call you offline because I thought that these guys may have the same question, so that's on me. I should have called you.
Sure.
I just didn't know what it represented.
So going through the tax map, basically it's salaries, again, 3 full-time employees. We're not looking at making any significant changes in the upcoming year.
So always, as we say, the difficult part of our job is discussing salary. So I always try to keep it to the dollars and it's not a reflection of how good of work somebody does. And we have, this is the general fund here, this division. So we had said, hey, we're looking at 4% for general fund. We know inflation's that we can't do the 8. But I know you're union, so you have compression issues. I understand that, but just, I see that the request is over 11% more than last year. I'm curious how you come to those figures. So your estimated 2023 is 159 and your 2024 estimated is 177. Now I know some of that's the adjustments, but that is an increase. So I'm just, for methodology's sake, how you come to those figures.
Sure. Basically, we were figuring on a 5% increase along with the one-time adjustment, and that's where I'm up with the salary.
I mean, that's all the numbers worked out. I just want to make sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Separating somebody or somebody retiring or
So
$1,000 in termination pay.
correct, and that's been there for the last couple years. I believe Elaine is approaching 35 years
I didn't see it
ERS time.
for 2023 or 2022.
Well, it's been in the request in the past.
It just not.
Hasn't been used.
Okay, all right.
But it's just there in case she decides to walk out the door. I don't see that happening this next year, but
Fortunately.
She's really,
Give her too many bad days in a row, you never know, so. The only real other big change is the equipment. They have requested new chairs. I can't tell you the last time they got new chairs. They're probably 7, 8, maybe 10 years old. So they do spend a lot of time in chairs, unfortunately, and would like to have something that's comfortable and functional. So that's the main difference on the equipment line item there. Any other questions on tax map? Ditch fund, which is also the general fund request. And basically the same thing as far as salaries go with the amount of increase.
Those are union employees, aren't they?
One is a union and one is supervisory. Not much else changes in that budget.
you wanna go to 136, just go sequentially? Salt's going up that much, huh? Estimating a 30% increase in road salt.
Well, this, no, it did not go up that much, but our usage, I've got to prepare for whatever usage we may need. This will cover our two contracts we have as far as the county and the state contract. This will cover purchasing all the salt on those contracts.
So it's a reflection of estimated usage as opposed to price increase.
Correct.
Field and shop equipment also, going up 80%.
Yeah, so that was, I believe, this is our actual or estimated cost for 23. It is down. I think it was in the 300 original request, 300,000 area. We had one piece of equipment that was supposed to come in, not coming in until next year now. So that will be added to next year's. It's a front end loader. And obviously we've seen a significant increase in cost. Trucks, dump trucks pushing 200,000 now, fully outfitted, and pickup, just a 1-ton pickup is an increase of about $20,000 from the previous year for just a pickup. They be around the 60,000 mark, and they're pushing 80 to 85,000. That's using the state contract price. So that's the reason for the increase in the equipment budget.
On the salaries, if you take out the one-time adjustment, I still show it's about over a 9% increase.
Again, that is based on a lot of that's based on overtime. A lot of our workers take comp time instead of overtime, but I do plan a certain amount for overtime in case everyone decides to jump ship and go on full overtime, have the money in the budget to cover them time expenses.
Gonna replace a lot of signs this year.
We do have a sign grant that we've applied for. It is a upfront cost and then we get reimbursed. So we do have
100% increase.
yes, yeah. Yeah, so we would have, we're concentrating on our school signs and our intersection ahead signs, stop ahead signs. They are old and in need of replacement, so there's going to be significant signage replacement.
You're estimating interest income to be half of what it was last year.
Correct. And I honestly, I don't know how that comes in. That's the state interest that they collect on the gasoline tax. Just conservative. I mean, it's gone from, you can see in 22, it was 37,000 and
Well, Last year was just a
It's gonna
spot,
be
you think?
E6.
Wait. Who knows, right?
I don't know. So I plan on,
Hamilton do their interest and make a lot of money.
any other questions, concerns on that budget?
I don't. No. Did I mention it'd be nice to have more recent on the right? Did I mention that? Okay.
Got that.
I don't have any other questions.
Good.
Fund 500, County Road and Bridge, this is, up of. And again, goes towards capital improvement projects, resurfacings, bridge replacements, type of project. Really not much. Questions on that budget?
Nope.
Nope. 521, this is our pension basin fund. Basically, the change on this one is we have reinstated the maintenance collections on Dogwood Estates and Altman Heights. We are currently doing our annual inspections on our retention basins, so that report will follow here. About
What are the two associations again?
the Dogwood Estates.
Yeah.
We will need to reevaluate some of these subdivisions and do some significant projects on repairing some of these retention basins. So that'll be maybe some further discussion for early in next year, because it does require hearings and whatnot to implement those special assessments for those projects. The only real expense on that one is the mowing of Dogwood. One that comes up annually from a homeowner wanting it mowed. According to our maintenance schedule, it's only supposed to be mowed 3 times a year. And it was getting done more often than that. And that's, again, something we'll need to talk about if we want to implement more collection on that to do more mowings, or if we want to stick with a regular maintenance schedule of 3 mowings a year.
Still covering your costs on that though.
Correct, but that,
He won't if he's got to do some work. He's only collected a couple $100.
next would be the 523 Vermilion River Maintenance. This is a ditch petition that back to 40s or 50s. Very minimal amount of collection maintenance work at this point in time.
There.
525 horse-drawn vehicle fund. Again, this is a donation fund received by the Amish and Mennonite communities. Voluntary. I believe I had 9,000 for this year's estimated revenue. We just received another donation last week, so I think it was in the $300,000 or $3,000 range. So we're probably looking at more like 12,000 revenue this year, which would put it in line with what we typically see.
I go around to townships, particularly our rural townships. This question is always asked. And it's understandable. They're like, look, there are steel tires that are beating up township roads. It is very costly to repair. Say, I hear you. Then I give them Marilyn and Mark's phone number.
It must be working because I have heard from Marilyn on this issue.
I reached out to her. I was at a township in the northern part of the community where we have some of our Amish community, and it's give and take. It's a way of life that they should certainly have the right to have. But there's also a response where but it beats up the roads pretty, and you could see it, you could see it on some of the roads. I mean, 13 grand doesn't even sniff some damage that could be, that'll get you a strip of paint nowadays.
Right, yeah. I mean, you figure a center line is about $1,000 a mile.
And that's just a center line. That doesn't count road maintenance. So I get it.
Chip and seal, which is
Yeah.
typical resurfacing, that's 25,000 a mile. So yeah, we appreciate the donation towards the roads in those areas, but there's a lot of damage. We've seen increase in tractor traffic with steel wheels. They are starting to form a larger area in the county, going from, north. Typically, families that were in the north are getting down here towards Mansfield and in farming operations, so they are traveling.
There has been some discussion at the state level about that.
And we just had
19 cents a foot for that strip down the middle.
And I hear it every time I go.
Sure. Yep.
I'm sure you hear it a lot too.
And that's my answer. Unfortunately, that's what we can do. I
know. No, I get it. That's one I'm happy to have Mark and Marilyn address. Good.
So I think that takes care of all the budgets here.
We're all good with that for the budget. Got some other things to talk to you about.
Yep. But we are looking to sell obsolete vehicles here and you should have received a list of those. I can go through them if you'd like, or just.
I think you get your money's worth on these. I mean, you got 250,000 miles on this 2012 Ford. 200,000, 215 plus on a 96 Chevy.
Or we ought to go back and talk to the coroner. If you can get 250,000 miles on the truck.
So I don't have any questions on this. Motion to approve the sale of 6 vehicles.
So move.
Second.
Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow.
Okay, so we have a permit in front of us to use an unimproved public right of way for public driveway, which is for Travis Trent on Gordon Road. Any particulars you want to share with us?
Yeah, so this would be our third permit on the year of this type. This is something we started just this year, trying to address issues that come up with roads that exist on paper that aren't physically there as far as a hard surface. So
That's this Catherine Drive in this case.
Catherine Drive, yeah.
Just you wouldn't know it's a road.
No, if you could, there's a small section, a little stub piece of Catherine Road that serves one house, and then this guy is behind them. Wants to put a driveway using that unimproved right of way. And there's conditions.
Sure looks like.
Right, yeah, there is a little clearing through the middle of those, but
Okay.
Looks like maybe it was used as a path at some point in time, but basically wants to use it to access his properties that lay behind the one house, has access on that road, so.
No one to object to this.
Not really, no, I don't think there's any real concerns that he can't block access for other people if somebody else wants to use this. Doesn't have another way to access their property, they can also get this type of permit from us.
Okay.
At this point in time, there's nobody fighting.
Motion to approve?
Second, or motion.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks. Barrow.
And we have another of similar, Jeffrey Stiegel on Beal Road.
This is actually off of Stewart Road, Green Acre Drive. This would actually be the second permit we received this type for the year. Again, if you go back to earlier, this was a little bit of point of contention between some property owners on leading section of road, chose not to do that. And Mr. Stiegel has a landlocked parcel that would be just off the end of Green Acre Drive. Again, it's platted, but never improved. So he is asking for the right to use this as a driveway. He doesn't have plans to make any improvement to this. It's basically a farm field drive, grass, but as is.
There's really no change,
Change, other than we're
making it official.
Yes.
What opinion of the other people change?
This may lead to an issue with, I just drove out there this morning. A camper is currently not parked in this unimproved right-of-way area, but in the past it has been something we will have to address if it becomes an issue. Mr. Hone is able to get one of these permits if he needs access to his property, but this permit is specifically for the use for drive access. It's not to store any equipment or materials. Mr. Stiegel has agreed to mow the area and keep it maintained. But you can't deny other people the use of it for access to their property if they need it.
Okay, motion to approve.
Mears,
Yes.
thanks.
Yes.
Thing we've got for you,
When they're dimension.
Let's add one more thing if you can.
If you want to, or we can do it another time. We did have a construction inspection agreement with
It just was provided to me yesterday afternoon with the legal approval. So since Adam was here, we thought he could explain.
oh, all right, okay. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So this is for inspection services for an upcoming guardrail project that we awarded earlier last month, I believe, to Lake Erie Construction. The inspection agreement would be to K.E. McCartney Associates here in Mansfield for inspection services, the cost not to exceed $18,947.40.
Just don't let Burkholder do the inspection. Done right.
This is covered by a federal grant, 100% covered. So no local costs
Like that.
for those services.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Mears, Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow.
Yes.
A one-time inspection, right? Versus,
It's just for this project, this specific guardrail project, yes. Yep.
anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see if the media has any questions. Hayden, what do you think? Any engineering questions for Adam?
He finds your budgets unexciting, Adam.
It's engineering. It's
I know.
you're all great, so.
Al still online?
He is still there.
Hey, Al, do you have any questions for our engineer, Adam?
No, thank you.
You don't want to buy one of the cars or anything, huh?
No, I've got a junker in my garage right now. I don't need another.
Okay. You Adam?
You.
15. Hey, we are pretty much right on time.
We have an 11:45, so just please be aware. You aren't the last one of today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Erica, Evan, you want to come up front?
And the 11:45 knows that it might be a little longer, but we tried to.
You bring food for us?
I did. Oh, okay.
We're at the budget time.
So back in my days when I was a budget analyst, I always wanted to came to see me.
That doesn't get you more money, you know.
I know.
Says who?
He told me that I should bring pizza, but I said,
Oh,
no.
I'm good, Erica. Thank you.
It's a lemon zucchini. bread.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, they're delicious, I'm sure.
But We have a small presentation. I promise I won't keep you past your commitment, but since you guys missed our annual celebration, I wanted to share a couple of the highlights from the presentation we gave.
No forks.
No, we don't need a fork. Bread. There's only a joke, you like it.
I forget what to click on the power.
Down at the bottom, oops, there's a,
I have,
go to the bottom right.
there we go.
Excuse me. I wanted to thank you for allowing us. Screen or to your. We are celebrating 75 years in Richland County this year, so big year for us. And we put this timeline together to show some of the things that's happened in 75 years. You know, soil and water districts were formed after the Dust Bowl went through the country in the 1930s. Natural Resources Conservation Service, which started off as the Soil Conservation Service under the federal government. They were first formed, but then they realized people didn't really trust the federal government back at that time. So that's how the local changed. It hasn't changed. So that's how the local soil and water districts.
I told you, Erica, that I got the book on the Dust Bowl
Yes,
from Kevin Burns' movie,
yeah,
saw the movie, and it referenced exactly what you're talking about. The timeline was identical. So I
Excellent.
read that just before
yes.
about this timeline.
Wonderful. Well, so in the 1940s is when the soil and water districts came to be in Richland County. 1948 was when the Richland Soil and Water District was formed. It wasn't until 1974 that we had our first director, though. The Richland Board of Supervisors ran the district entirely up until 1974, and that's when Jeff Van Loon was hired as the first director. 1980 was the second director, Jeff Wilkinson. 1990 was the third director, John Hildreth, and then I'm number 4 here in 2018. A couple other things. The first soil judging contest was in 1951. First tree seedling sale was in 1965. The agriculture pollution and abatement program started in the 1980s as made stormwater regulations, but we were named the stormwater manager in 2006. Our website first came up in 2015. If you haven't seen it, we have a lot of interactive watershed information, lots of stuff out there. And then finally, this was a big year for us, not only because it was our 75 years, but we did celebrate that we were named the District of the Year for the state of Ohio. Next slide.
One thing I thought was also noteworthy is on your website, you have permits that can be obtained
do.
online.
Yes, geo permit.
This timeline, but that was just this year.
It was.
I thought that was a big deal.
It is.
We went through the screens and I think that's very economically development.
It is. I'm excited about that.
That worked out really well.
I got something about that on another slide, but yes, we're hoping to get our commercial permits online, but right now it's our residential permit process is completely working there.
The others.
Yeah, we're working there. So this was our District of the Year award. You see Jean was in the picture, one of our supervisors here today. That was this past January that we were awarded that. Okay. So you're probably familiar with our mission and our vision. We are here to assist the citizens of the county to protect and improve our county's natural resources by providing educational, planning, and technical assistance. Okay, so if you go to the next slide. This is just a snapshot of all the different programs we offer. Obviously, you know, we are in the
Sorry.
Obviously, we're the stormwater manager. You're very well aware of that. That's 4 program. We manage that for 4 of the townships in county. Then we have to run our own supervisor elections, but that is a very regimented process in the Ohio Revised Code. It's a public, just like what you guys go through. And Jean happens to be on our nominating committee, the chair. And so we have one of our supervisors that has to step down for medical reasons. So we are searching for a replacement if you know anyone. We deal with a lot of landowner requests. That's probably the top thing we get in our office outside of stormwater, just various things like help with flooding or pond issues or whatever. We are sponsors for the Farmland Preservation Program for both the state and the USDA. We manage, we help with the ditch petition process in the county. We manage the cover crop program for the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District. We're the first responders if there's any kind of pollution related to agriculture or forestry. And that's through the Ohio Department of Agriculture and through ODNR. We run a land judging and envirothon contest. Next year, 2025, we will be running it for the whole area too. So it'll be multi-counties coming into Richland County for that. We offer soil testing. We have a tree seedling sale. We have a fish sale. We do lots and lots of workshops. You'll see in that packet I gave you, we have 2 workshops coming up in January I wanted to pass on. One's for invasive species and the other one is a conservation creation workshop for related to the eclipse and just information on solar kind of stuff. We do survey and drafting work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And then finally, we manage the H2 Ohio program for the Department of Agriculture. Okay. So some of the highlights for 2023, we issued 283 stormwater permits, 120 of those were residential. And this is of the year, 14 commercial and 149 that were fee exempt. We've completed 65 dry weather inspections for MS4, 160 commercial inspections, 49 outfalls that have been dye tested, meaning we've tested the stormwater system to see where it's actually outletting into the river, and that's required under MS4 to have all that identified. So we're working on that. And then as Commissioner Mears said, geo permits went live this year. So our full residential process can be done from the comfort of your home computer. Moving on to outreach and events, we held 58 public events this year. It's been a very busy year. 519 milkweed seed packets were given away, 18 rain barrels sold, 6 newsletters were put out. We had 23 press releases, 112 media placements. We conducted 23 soil tests for citizens. We released 3 podcast episodes this year, which had 463 downloads. And then 400 tree seedlings were donated to Mansfield City Schools. And then finally, under agriculture, we've had
Make a comment here that I think your outreach program is unprecedented. If you look at 58 public events in a year, that's more than 1 a week. If there's any event going on, any public community event, you guys are there.
Yeah,
You'll ever be accused of
we try.
not being in the public eye because you folks really make a concerted effort
Thank you. We do.
to be available.
Excellent staff.
Mention that. That's more than 1 a week, and I think that's remarkable.
Thank you. And then for agriculture, we had 3 agriculture pollution complaints this year. We were involved in the Black Fork ditch petition. We got a grant from MWCD for $99,000 and were able to successfully remove 5 log jams out of the Black Fork. That work has been completed.
You saw Boris retired, right?
Yes, I did.
Taking water.
Yeah. We have 2 cover crop farms enrolled in the MWCD cover crop program. We have 2 farmland preservation farms that are in process of being enrolled in the farmland preservation program. And under H2 Ohio, we have 25,000 acres enrolled in the county under phase 1, which is the nutrient management plan phase. And out of that, $319,000 has been paid to those farmers. Phase 2, where they best management practices and put those practices in place to meet their nutrient management plan. We've had 21,500 acres enrolled in that, which is about a quarter of all the eligible acres in the county. They only had a sign-up phase. It was only a couple of months long to get enrolled in these programs. So that's pretty impressive given that short amount of time they were able to enroll. And there is $1.4 million available for these farmers if they complete all their practices. So it's bringing in a lot of money for the county. Okay, and then just a little deeper dive into stormwater permits that's been issued. So you can kind of see the trends where we've been going with the commercial, residential, and exempt. Numbers that look like they're a little bit down in 2023 because there's still a month and a half to go, but looks like we're going to be right around the same numbers as 2022.
Who's exempt?
Agriculture is fee exempt, and then small projects that don't meet the threshold for the the soil disturbed or the impervious area created. All right, this was a year that we, a lot of time looking at the future. Our district hired Greg Timberlake, who is a consultant from North Central. And we went through a multi-step process to,
Gonna be able to be consultant, knowing the role he's taken on.
well, he is with the Regional Planning Commission, I believe, and then he's a board member for us starting in January.
I believe he's going to be taking on a stepped up role at the chamber, is he not?
He is, but it's a temporary role. He's not taking that as a full-time. Yeah. Or long-term, I should say. So through his consulting work, we went through a process where we first had our staff and board conduct a SWOT analysis, which is where you look at all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then we developed a survey that we sent out to the community to gauge what kind of issues people see in the county dealing with natural resource issues and how we can better help. Then we held a conservation creation workshop where we invited a lot of members from different segments of the county and went through a brainstorming process where, again, we identified what are the upcoming issues and how can soil and water help those issues. And then finally, we took all that information, approved a 5-year plan for our district going forward. And those goals you see on this, I'm going to summarize the most important ones that came out of that 5-year plan. First, we want to update the stormwater regulations to be in compliance with S4 and to make it a more streamlined, easier to follow process for the customers. So we're working on that right now with the prosecutor's office. Develop opportunities for young people to engage with our soil and water district. Working on succession planning and training. I'm able to retire in 5 years. Teresa's able to retire in 5 years. And
Are there any employees at Soil and Water that are on an employment contract? I know you guys are a separate elected body, so I wasn't sure your protocol. Are any employees on a employment contract at Soil and Water?
in an employment contract, like
When they hire employees, you said you're eligible to retire. Is anyone on a contract?
no, just our accountant that works.
Okay, so all your employees are just at will then?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're developing some things internally to help prepare for when there's turnover or when I can retire. So that's in progress. Expand agriculture and stormwater education in the county. That came up primarily because OSU Extension does not have an ag extension agent right now, and there's a need for that in the county, but also a need for just expanding education efforts. Maintain and grow our existing programs, and finally broaden our financial support and partnerships. Okay, so this budget that I have proposed is trying to address those goals, and some of the highlights to point out, we've requested $34,000 increase in funding from our 2023 level. This increase would help provide 3% cost of living increase for all the staff at Soil and Water. Increase. This budget assumes that we would get 86% state match for the state for the county funding. We know that's the case for sure for the first 2 quarters of.
Isn't that 100% at one point?
It's never been exactly 100%. It's up and down through the years. It was down to 70-some%, and then
Last year.
last year it was like 92%, I think.
Okay.
It goes up and down depending on how many dollars each of the counties bring in, and there's a lot of factors they do to decide which county gets what percentage.
The more you're funded outside the state match, determine
Or
how much
your-
the state match will be.
Yeah, the lower your percentage generally is.
And that's the state, so where did those match directly come from again?
The state match dollars come from GRF, and they also come from the scrap tire fee and the tipping fee at landfills. It's kind of a combination of funding.
Comes from the GRF, what else?
Scrap tire fees and also the tipping fees at landfills. There's actually a committee of us administrators that's been working to look and see if we can find an alternative source of funding that's a little more.
What department distributes the funds ultimately?
Ohio Department of Agriculture. And then finally, the budget is looking at, we either need to have our current drone upgraded to comply with some FAA updates that were required in October, and we're still trying to get our drone compliant. And also, we are doing some survey work for the US Department of Agriculture that we're going to be getting paid for, but we had to buy some new software for that, and it's not working with our drone. So our drone is about 6 years old at least. Either update the drone or get a new drone. And then if we can afford other Trimble unit for, I'll talk about that in a minute, but Trimble units, if we can afford it. Trimble units are the units that you take out and you can mark spots and do some of the work with that. So it's for survey work. And then finally, the budget requesting a new position, and I'll get into that in the next slide, but we're only asking.
I had a question on that, so it's coming.
Okay, so we're only asking the county to fund 13% of this position though.
Okay, so here's my question, because you had noted there's money from the H2 Ohio and NRCS cooperative agreement.
Mhm.
So if I look at the salary and benefits, it's around $47,000 for the full position. You're saying only 13% would be required of the county?
Yeah, could we go through the slide, and then if you still have the question, because it's on the next slide after this, I've got a breakdown that maybe that'll answer.
Didn't see it in the.
Yeah, let's see if this answers. I'm happy to go into further detail. Okay, so Evan, here's here with us today, and him and Jordan both are split, where half of their time is working on H2 Ohio and is funded through the H2 Ohio dollars, and half of their time is stormwater duties. So under this proposal, we are going to shift away those stormwater duties and funding into a new position. So each of them spend half their time now, so that would equal one full position. So that's not new monies, that would just shift that funding away from Evan and Jordan for that new position. Then for their time that we're freeing up, they will be able to dedicate that time to work on NRCS cooperative agreement work. There's a whole list of practices that they can assist doing survey work, design, implementation, all kinds of different things they can do. And the funding comes on a reimbursement basis for that work that they perform. So that reimbursement can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. We've talked to Jason Rule at NRCS about this, and they are so overwhelmed with the work in this county because it's just him and Jordan Miller that are with NRCS in this county, and they're split between two other counties, or is it just Ashland? Well, anyway,
I think Ashland.
just Ashland. So they're split between counties. So they have a huge backlog. They could really use the help. And then in the there's two federal bills. One is the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act. The other is the budget that's for USDA. Their budgets have doubled for conservation practices. I mean, it literally doubled for EQIP and the conservation, whatever, CSP.
Conservation
Stewardship program. They were expecting even more practices coming to the county. So they really need the help, and they expect this to be long-term help. Part of this proposal is to shift the work from Evan and Jordan to help out NRCS and get reimbursed for this work. And then that also would give them some time to dedicate for the agriculture education and outreach that's needed in this county, since we don't have an extension agent. Because this reimbursement is going to take 6 to 12 months from the time they actually start doing the work, we have applied for a Richland County Foundation grant for about $42,000. That would, if we don't know if we're going to get it yet, I think their meeting is on December 8th. So all this is contingent on getting this grant from Richland County Foundation. But if we did get that grant, that would help us fund the startup cost for their positions that would pay for that until the reimbursement starts again. There's also an organization called the National Association of Conservation Districts, and they have a grant program that we won't be able to apply for until next summer, but we think we might be able to get some dollars to also help with these positions through NACD. So that's another thing we're looking at. The Richland County, or the Richland Soil and Water Board, the Ohio Department of Agriculture, and NRCS all support this idea that we've proposed. In fact, our ODA person has said he thinks this could be a model for other counties if this could work out for us at our board meeting. Okay, so Commissioner Bureau, this is kind of the breakdown that I was getting at. So that the first chart on the left, that's their total cost, including their salary and fringe, and it breaks it down that about, for both of them together, approximately $89,997 is currently funded through H2 Ohio, and that'll continue. The $44,549, that's the work we're proposing to do for the contribution agreements. And that dollar is an estimate. I mean, it could be more or less depending on how much time and work they're able to accomplish through NRCS, but this is what we're hoping to achieve. And then,
So how long do you think, I mean, this is very creative. I understand what you're doing. You're maximizing the dollars to get a new position, which is outstanding. How long do you feel comfortable knowing that the NRCS and the H2 Ohio monies are gonna come to you? Your pies would change if those monies go.
does, and that's a very good question. I mean, H2 Ohio, Evan was hired under a 5-year grant for H2 Ohio. That grant expires at the end of next year. So I've been asking these questions of ODA, and rather than renew the grant the way they did before, they're going to go on another reimbursement basis. And I don't know what the reimbursement rates are going to be. Nobody does at this point. I think it's contingent on the next state budget. So I'm not able to answer that question beyond 2024 right now.
What would be your intent with the position if we approve it this year and then it comes back that those monies go away? Would the request still be that the
Downsize then.
funded?
We'll have to either downsize, we'll have to ask you for more money, or we'll try to pursue some of those grants that we've talked about. There's
the support of these new positions for my coworker and I are kind of dependent on grants pretty much. I mean, to work perfectly. So this first year it would be the NRCS portion would be covered if we got the grant from the Richland County Foundation. Going forward, we have the option to pursue that NACD grant, which other counties in the state use recurringly year after year for this sort of work. So there are examples in the state of these grants being used for this kind of work. And that would help as the pie chart fluctuates depending on which year and work we get done.
Okay, so let me ask a question about the new stormwater position based on the spreadsheet. You've got two personal service schedules, one identified as with new employee scenario, which is this position. Dollars you're asking for is $18,720 at $18 an hour. That means 1,040 hours.
That's
So identified that this is,
hired in July.
but that
Yeah.
sounds like we'd be funding the whole thing.
It is, but that's funding that's already for Jordan, and it's not new funding. That's just shifting that funding that they are paid for now for half of their positions into the new position. Does that make sense?
Not to me, no, because it's on the line item.
Pie around to get creative, to get maximum grant.
But it's on the new hire line item.
Right, but really, that new hire is really half of today's Evan and
All right,
Jordan.
okay. I see what you mean. Sorry, go ahead.
And you did say that in this pie, the fringe benefits are included and because fringe benefits are over 40% of your
I know.
salaries.
I know, that's a lot, especially the health insurance.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
no fault of anybody's, but we'll let that go.
How will the existing stormwater duties that are being taken away, what happens to those?
Well, Dan Harold is still in the stormwater, and these two guys, when we get someone hired, they're gonna have to spend some time helping train the new person before they can fully come on board. But if we need a minimum of at least 2 people working in stormwater and MS4, so this is just shifting what they do with half of their time each into one new person entirely.
Additionally, there's an understanding in the office that Jordan and I are still gonna have to help out. Even if there's two full-time stormwater people, and that's an understanding between us and Dan. That we've made, so we'll still have to do some of that work. Along with our other duties, as it's a priority for our office.
Okay. Questions on that?
Not for me.
And I think I only have one more slide, just thanking our volunteers because this year they've accumulated 1,800 hours and saving approximately $52,000 to our budget. Okay. So showing celebration, I wanted to be able to show that to you, so I appreciate.
Yeah, we couldn't make that.
Sorry to miss it. I
You guys had your.
great that you combined the two. I think I even texted you or called you and said that that's great that you combined them. So with the Farm Bureau.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And then cotton picking politicians got.
They picked the same day we did, darn it.
Erica,
Um,
7:15.
I don't have any questions.
Why don't you give this to the Richmond Source?
Thank you so much.
Questions here? So I'll turn it over to you, Hayden. Any questions for Richland Source for our soil and water friends? Sorry, no. Al's still online, Steve. Al, any questions for Evan or Erica?
No questions on soil and water, but I do have a question on that thing you did with the Plymouth Bridge.
Okay.
I didn't quite understand what you were doing. Was that a county road previously?
It's a bridge that is under a county road.
It belonged to the railroad.
The bridge belonged to the railroad, the Ashland Railway, right? They weren't
Okay.
in a position to maintain it. And that caused the problem with traffic in the area.
Okay, I remember that. So basically, you're accepting it from the railroad so you could replace it.
Well, the railroad has already done a quit claim deed, if I recall, to turn it over to the village of Plymouth.
Teresa?
Yeah, the village is accepting bridge from the railroad, the village of Plymouth out. And this is an especially important bridge because it connects the Plymouth community on both sides of the train tracks. It's not at grade. So in other words, if you have a train that's stopped within the village, this bridge provides critical access for safety services and the community, even when you have a train that's in the village.
Yeah, I can remember some of that previous discussion. So this project too has yet to be done, correct? Or has it been done?
It's still in progress.
That's what the money's for.
Yeah, 1.8 million.
Yeah, I understood that. I just couldn't remember what stage that project was in, whether it was yet to be done under construction or completed.
Right, yeah, it hasn't been started yet. We just got the money. They just got the money.
Okay. I think let me double check my list here. Yeah, that's all I had on that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Al. I think that's Hayden.
One other quick question.
Yeah.
Kind of backtracking to the Board of Elections budget. What is their total request for you all this year? I think I may have either missed it or ignored it.
Total general fund.
1,207,345.96.
No, off the top of your head, that's increased from,
It is, you have to remember, We have a significant health insurance increase, which is impacting a lot of budgets. And it's an election year next year as well for that presidential election year. Their costs are usually associated with that more so than other years. So to be fair to them, it's not, the increase isn't representative of, hey, we want a lot of additional monies.
Okay. 11:50 now. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss employment.
Second. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Yes.
Banks. Commissioner Barrow.
Yes.
12:18, the Richland County Board of Commissioners is back in session. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Kara Russell, Director of Building Codes.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Say this resignation is effective immediately. Hearing no other business, Richland County Board of Commissioners stands adjourned at 12:19. Yeah, Al?
Any more information on that?
Sarah has
Is she-
resigned for personal reasons.
Okay,
Yeah, she resigned early this morning and letter of resignation indicates that it's due to personal reasons. That's all we
Okay.
can say this time.
all right, so what are you gonna do in the interim with this then?
Good point. A search will be initiated for her replacement.
And that's why we had the executive session, was to figure out how we're gonna do that.
Okay, who's gonna handle the office in the meantime then?
Well, they have an office manager who can handle the day-to-day things, such as paying bills, payroll, things of that nature. Anything else would be directed to the board that, the office manager isn't authorized to handle.
Okay, I'm thinking too, in terms of inspections and stuff that, she was doing.
Sure,
You
well, they
still
have
gonna
a,
be-
We have a contract with an outside organization to do some of these inspections.
well, and we also have a chief building official who is employed there, who, facilitates the duties of the inspectors, schedules inspections and things of that nature. So that's already being handled.
Okay, that was the other thing I wanted to make sure.
Sure.
All right. I think
Have a
that's all I
happy
need on that
Thanksgiving.
then.
Happy
Yep.
Thanksgiving, Al.
Thank you. Make my wife feel at ease. We're having it here at our house, except she's managed to finagle everybody else to do the cooking, so. we're
good for her.
providing-
It's not a bad deal.
Well, my oldest daughter didn't want to do it at her house and she volunteered us and my wife said, all right, if you'll do the cooking.
Well, if you got an extra plate, let me know.
Well, if you got 2.5 hours to come up and visit.
You're not
All
gonna
right.
deliver, you mean? You don't do DoorDash?
No.
Have a happy Thanksgiving, Alan.
All right, you too. Thanks.